How is it going, everybody? Sean Ross here, and I hope you guys are all doing well because it is that time of week again to sit down to talk about and to discuss the latest My Hero Academia chapter, chapter 198, which is entitled Know Where You Stand When It Counts. And I can honestly say that this was a really enjoyable and really good setup chapter going into the second match of these battle training exercises. Even despite the fact that this chapter was shorter than normal, we only got 13 pages, I'm really liking what I am seeing, and it has me extremely hyped for what is to come for this second match, but specifically for chapter 199, with the rivalries being built up between Momo squad and Kendo squad. I honestly cannot wait for the next chapter. But speaking about this chapter specifically, you can mainly separate chapter 198 in half, to where the first half of this chapter mainly pertains to the conclusion of the first match, to where Aizawa and Vlad are gathering Class A and Class B and having them reflect upon the positives and the negatives and what they need to improve upon and learn from their mistakes in order to learn and grow from this battle training exercise. There's a lot of reflection going on in the first half of this chapter, but then once we dive into the second half, this is where things get really good, to where you see the rivalries being built up between Momo and Kendo. But this rivalry, I don't think anyone was really expecting, but I am so glad that we are getting it. We are getting a rivalry in the dark between Kuroiro of Class B with Tokoyami of Class A.
Darkness imprisoning me, all that I see, absolute horror. I cannot live, I cannot die, trapped in myself, fighting my only self.
Our two respective edgelords are going to be duking it out, and they want to see who is in fact the superior Dark Lord amongst the two. Banquet of Darkness, Revelry in the Dark, call it what you will, but I did not know that I needed this, but now that Horikoshi has presented it to me, all I can say is bring it on, Horikoshi. I want more of Tokoyami going up against Kuroiro, and I honestly cannot wait for chapter 199. So when it comes to talking about the back half of this chapter, I'll talk about the rivalry in the dark. I'll talk about the rivalry being built up between Kendo and Momo, but also how Toru and Aoyama could factor in possibly taking out and defeating Kuroiro. So we'll talk about that stuff in just a little bit, but let's rewind, go back to the beginning of this chapter to where we pick up directly after the first match ending, and Aizawa is getting Class A to reflect upon what they learned from this match and seeing what they still need to improve upon. As we see with Kirishima, he needs to focus in more on close range combat and getting his opponent on the same playing field as him, so that way he has the advantage. Koda, on the other hand, really needs to focus in on his weak points. He needs to strategize just a little bit more, but also focus on communicating very directly and precise to his bugs or any other animals that he is in fact communicating with. And then we have Kaminari, who at first is basically like, I did amazing. You guys all loved me. I honestly did nothing wrong. But then Aizawa just immediately puts Kaminari in his place and is like, no, 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 you were a mess the entire first half of this battle. And he basically asks him the question, does it take you losing allies to finally get serious in a match? So I like the fact that Aizawa really brought that up to Kaminari, but my favorite one comes from Sue, to where she's reflecting as being the leader of the team. She's very upset with the fact that she lost two of her members and that it just became pure chaos. But Aizawa basically says, even though it was messy in the beginning, your quick thinking brought everyone together and you were able to turn a negative situation into a positive, and I like getting to see that type of reflection coming from Froppy. We also come to see Shinzo reflecting upon how he did throughout this exercise, and even though he is frustrated with himself, you still have to be impressed considering that this is most likely the most combat he has seen and experienced, and this is excluding the sports festival and excluding his training with Aizawa. He doesn't have the same experience that Class A or Class B has, and he is frustrated with the fact that all that training that he did under Aizawa, he wasn't able to retain it and keep it with him once he was in the middle of an actual confrontation. But Aizawa lets him know, you're not going to come out here day one and just be a pro like that. You need to train, you need to hone your skills, and eventually with time and training, you will retain everything that you have learned. It took Aizawa 6 years to master the binding cloth, and just with what we saw with Shinzo using it, it was still impressive getting to see him using that cloth. Imagine Shinzo 6 years from now mastering the binding cloth. That right there is going to be amazing. So I liked getting to see this reflection with Aizawa talking to Class A, and it kind of has me wondering if we're going to get this after every single match with Class A and Class B. But speaking of Class B, Vlad was not as calm as Aizawa when he was communicating his thoughts to Class B. He let them know through his yelling and his furious anger what they did wrong, and what they did wrong was the fact that their team did not have a definitive leader calling the shots. And when you look back on the first match, he's kind of right, because you can see the leadership role kind of shifting between Aibara, Shishida, and Rin, and he didn't have that sole person calling the shots being the leader of the team. To where when you look at Class A during the back half of the match, Sue really did step up into that role. She was the one making the plans, telling everyone what to do, streamlined the process, made the team more of a unit, and that's why they were able to come out on top against Class B. So I like seeing all of this reflection to where now the students know what they need to improve upon, but this also gives a huge advantage to all the other teams waiting that the first people in the first match did not really have. Now they know that they have time to come up with a strategy, come up with plans, they can work more as a team, and you see that within this chapter. All the other teams are strategizing, thinking about what they should do, and since they mostly know everyone's quirks besides special moves and other improvements that they might have done, these matches in 3, 4, and 5, they have a better advantage than the teams right now for the first match and the second match. So that's just a very interesting thing, giving more of an advantage to the teams that have not gone just yet. But as we make our way through the chapter, we see all the other students coming up with their strategies. We also come to see Monoma just gushing over his new secret weapon that his team has in Shinzo, but the highlight of this chapter was just getting to see Midnight gushing over the youth of the students.
Such youthful vigor! I'll allow it.
But to round out the first half of this chapter, we have this very brief scene of getting to see all of the teachers talking with one another, to where they bring up the fact that there are other motivations behind this battle training exercise, and that motivation being the potential of transferring Shinzo into the hero course. Now, this has already been mentioned once before this arc already, so they are just reiterating it once again, but I like seeing the fact that the teachers are impressed with what they see from Shinzo thus far, and that they are really looking forward to seeing what's going to go down in the 5th and final match with Shinzo on Class B going up against Deku's team. I think that most of us are with the teachers, to where we are also hyped for that match as well. But this just raises those questions once again, to where once we reach the ending of this battle training arc, will Shinzo in fact transfer into the hero course? And if he does, will it be to Class A or Class B? And if he transfers in, does that mean one student needs to be transferred out? I like having these questions, but now I just am very curious to see what's going to go down once we reach the ending of this battle training arc. And we're not going to be reaching it anytime soon, because we are just diving into the second match of the 5 matches that we are going to get. And I am hyped for this match already, just with the setup that we have in the back half of this chapter. So for the second match, we have Class A's team of Momo, Tokoyami, Toru, and Aoyama going up against Class B's team of Kendo, Kuroiro, Manga, and Kanoko. And before this match even starts, we are having some rivalries being built up between these two teams. The first one that we get to see being built up is between Kendo and Momo. And I like getting to see this friendly rivalry, but also getting to see Kendo talking about how she's always viewed her and Momo together. Most people always put those two together. They're like a package deal. And this kind of goes all the way back to their internship under Uebami, to when they were in those commercials and they started to gain some fans. fans. But Kendo states outright, I think that you have a better quirk and better grades than me, but I'm going to prove right here, right now, in a head-on-head matchup that I am better than you and I can compete with you. I like getting to see just the confidence, but also this friendly rivalry being built up between Momo and Kendo. There's no bad blood here, they just want to see who can best the other person. And once you go into the Tetsu speech near the ending of this chapter, it builds up Kendo even more to where you get to see how confident of a character she is, how level-headed she is, how she can make spur-of-the-moment decisions, which you can take all of those and compare them to Momo as well. Now, Momo throughout the series has grown a lot as a character. She did not start out as the character she currently is within this chapter. She doubted herself a lot. She didn't really have a lot of confidence and couldn't make those spur-of-the-moment decisions. But through character growth from the final exam arc with herself and Todoroki going up against Aizawa, you saw her gaining more confidence and being able to make those spur-of-the-moment decisions. And I don't think the winner of this rivalry is going to come down on a 1v1 match. I think it's going to come down to which one of these two ladies, Momo or Kendo, can lead their team to victory within this match. So my question to you guys, who do you have winning this rivalry, Momo or Kendo? But now, let's talk about the rivalry that we did not expect to get in this chapter, but we are so happy we are getting it. Tokoyami and Kuroiro. Rivalry in the dark. The two edgelords that have found a common brother from the other class. And this is one of the funniest moments within this entire chapter, but it leads into the hype moment for the cliffhanger of this chapter and could lead into a very awesome confrontation that we could get in chapter 199. And it's kind of funny to see how this all transpires and starts within this chapter, because it's when Toru is bringing up the pop idol reference for Kendo and Momo, and Tokoyami responds with idolatry, cultish worship. And then you see Kuroiro kind of twitch behind him. He's like, oh my god, there is someone like me within Class A. And this is when Kuroiro walks up to him. He's like, Tokoyami, you're like me. Me and you, we're connected by fate. And then Tokoyami, taken aback, he understands his brother of the shadows. He's like, another who communes with the abyss. And they just walk away, kind of just very sulkily, just doom and gloom, as Kuroiro responds with a fellow resident of perpetual darkness. This right here is just amazing that we're getting this middle school angst edginess from these two. There's always that one within each class, and I just love the fact that there is a mirror for Tokoyami within Class B. It's just hilarious to see. But this all leads into the start of the match, because now we are just looking forward to what's going to happen between Kuroiro and Tokoyami. And once that siren goes off, Dark Shadow just immediately shows up in front of Class B, and under Kendo's orders, Kuroiro goes to work. And this is where we get the reveal of his quirk of black. And I just have to state right here, I honestly think that it is my favorite quirk shown thus far from Class B. So as we see Class A rushing towards Dark Shadow's location, they notice that Dark Shadow is returning back to them, and he's shouting, they got me, they got me. And once he returns, he just delivers a solid gut punch right to Tokoyami's stomach, and then we see Kuroiro pop out of Dark Shadow. And even before Momo can catch him with her created nets, he just jumps into the darkness of the pipes and just starts oozing out of them like some awesome shadow monster. And this is where we get the description of Kuroiro's quirk of black. He can meld with blackness, and since improving on his quirk, he can manipulate any black object that he phases into, only things that can move to begin with though. This right here is an awesome power, and like I just stated, is one of my favorite quirks that we have seen thus far from the members of Class B. And the line that he delivers as he is oozing out, he just says, ah, Fumikage Tokoyami, I'm gonna put you on like a suit. That line is dark, it is edgy, and I love the fact that he actually delivered that within that moment to Tokoyami. But we can't count Tokoyami out just yet. He just rips off that cloak. He is ready to go up against his natural foil, and he's also ready to show us a new ultimate move that he learned under Hawk's internship, which is called Black fallen angel. And that is the cliffhanger for this chapter. I honestly cannot wait to see what's going to go down next chapter in 199. What is this ultimate move called Black Fallen Angel, and will it be enough to take on and defeat Kuroiro? Because the one thing we have to remember about Kuroiro's quirk of black, he can meld into any blackness, and if you look at Tokoyami's apparel, he just wears black all the time. So could Kuroiro possibly jump and meld into Tokoyami's clothing and control him that way? I'm very curious if we're going to see that next chapter. But the one thing I also see leading maybe to Tokoyami defeating Kuroiro is possibly getting some assistance from Aoyama and from Toru, because they too are also natural foils and good opposites to Tokoyami and to Kuroiro, because they both can just shine lights. Aoyama with his navel laser, and with Toru's refraction that we saw briefly during the provisional license exam. So will we possibly see that next chapter? I'm very curious, because that is really the only way I can see Tokoyami taking out Kuroiro. Once you just shine lights everywhere, it gets rid of the dark, it gets rid of the black where he can merge into, and thus you kind of render Kuroiro's quirk inaccessible. So I am very much looking forward to seeing what we are going to get in chapter 199. The main question I have for this match is which team is going to come out on top? Is it going to be Momo in Class A, or is it going to be Kendo and Class B? With that, guys, that right there is my review for chapter 198. But now I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below, your positives, your negatives, and who you guys think is going to happen next chapter and who's going to win this overall match. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you guys want to talk more about My Hero Academia outside of YouTube, feel free to follow me on Twitter, guys. A link to my Twitter account can be found in the description down below. That's going to do it for me here, guys. So until next week, when we have chapter 199 of My Hero Academia, one chapter away from the big 200, I'll talk to you guys next time. But remember, go beyond, plus ultra.